originally from London, and I was caught up in the techno scene of the 90s in London. So from about 95, I remember seeing Prodigy at the Brixton Academy, which is in the news for all the wrong reasons at the moment, and very sadly. And yeah, kind of prior to that, I was into kind of psychedelic rock music, I think bands like Led Zeppelin, The Doors, and I was really looking for my own subculture, and I could see that something happened in the 60s and 70s that was very exciting. And so I was kind of looking at that age, and then suddenly the rave scene came along, or the kind of electronic music came along, and I got heavily into that scene and decided I started putting on parties and London parties in London. And then I came to university here in Sussex, at to Sussex Uni, and I came to live in Brighton. And I put on some parties here, and I just kind of didn't feel that that was enough. I just wanted to go deeper and deeper into it. So I just thought, right, I'm going to draw a line on all of this and just go and learn music production. And I did 5 years at Northbrook College in Worthing, and did a long stint learning music production. And yeah, really buried my head, right, for a long time. Maybe after I graduated in 2008, and then for about 10 years I just produced and ran a label. Didn't go back to DJing, didn't go back to events, just produced. And then it was about 2018 I came out of that hole, and I think I got into Spin Cycle about 18 months ago, something like that, maybe a year ago.
I think you came here, right?
Right,
you didn't come to East Street Out.
I didn't do East Street Out.
No, so yeah. And then your influences, do you think they're from that psychedelic rock scene that you first saw?
Absolutely, yeah. And this is very interesting. Like, some people even say they hear the psychedelic rock in my production, right? There's a lot of distortion in there and kind of synth work that is dissonant, and yeah. So I've even had people say, "Oh, this sounds like rock music." Which is fascinating. And then looking at some of the videos of people dancing at my gigs, the way people there's headbands, right? Yeah, there's like people like so I'm attracted to this type of techno which has this kind of wild energy where people really let go. There's a bit about my influences.
So what about you, Joe? You're in a band, aren't you, as well?
Yeah, I've
What are they called again, your band?
So, wow, I'm in a band called the Super Dupes. Is probably the ones I should rep most now, because we're releasing an album hopefully in a couple of months. We haven't set a date yet, but keep an eye out for Super Dupes online.
What's the album name called?
That is unknown.
Unknown. Look out for that name.
Yeah. We've got some great singles. And we're an Afrobeat jazz band, 2 drummers, bass guitar, sax, trumpet. It's a beautiful vibe, and every time we gig it's different. So yeah, come and check us out. We do a monthly residency at the Paris House if you're in Brighton. So come and check us out down there. As a musician and a producer, I've been fortunate enough to work with quite a few people in my time in Brighton. It's one of the reasons I've stayed in Brighton for so long, because there's so many beautiful, talented people down here.
There's a lot of musicians around.
Yeah, and even through the DJ scene though, meeting DJs has at nights like Spin Cycle has, we've gigged together, we've let each other know of jobs, we fill in for each other. It builds up the community that we kind of need to sustain ourselves as musicians and artists in this world.
And I think that's important because there's no office where you can go to be a DJ. It's not like, I turned up for work, say, as a DJ. It's all self-initiated by ourselves. So without us doing it, there wouldn't be a scene. So we have to keep our own community going by ourselves. So that's a reason why Spin Cycle kind of exists, to keep a scene alive. Because if it died, the whole scene would be slowly dying. So obviously come down to Spin Cycle every Monday night if you can, and support the scene.
Yeah, it's like, well, the other thing is that we're changing Spin Cycle quite a lot at the moment.
It is
I
changing,
feel
it's
like
in
we're
flux.
adapting it.
Yeah.
But one thing that was apparent to us wasn't it was our reach. Like we were last year trying to see if we could expand so that we were bringing in sort of under 18s people
Yeah.
that we thought that we could also teach and would benefit from being kind of exposed and learning from loads of different DJs that are enthusiastic with loads of different music. In the same way that we have, you know, it's kind of like if we could instill that in the community of Brighton to further on, this is kind of like something that this will hopefully lead to, and hopefully we can showcase these like wicked new artists on our station, on our show.
So with going back to you, Ross, and I understand you have a album which you are currently going to be releasing called the Dark Album.
Yeah, so the Dark album that was released in October last year, and that was like super successful. And yeah, before I talk about that, I just want to mention a few opportunities that have come to me from Spin Cycle.
Yeah, yeah,
right?
mention,
And
yeah.
you know, so even though I've had these productions and you know I get regular bookings as a DJ, to be part of a kind of grassroots initiative like this brings great opportunities as well. So it's like it's exciting to be part of this kind of community. I remember we got called out to Worthing, didn't we?
Yeah.
And
We've done the Cellar Arts Club,
right.
and before that we've done Block Bar, which is in Camptown,
Yes.
Brighton.
Yes.
That was through our mutual friends.
Yesh,
Yesh,
who promotes the Lucis Phenomena.
Yeah, he promotes that. So we were going to do a support for a different gig, but it just turned into something else. But we stayed with Yesh, and you know, he was
Absolutely.
nice enough to let us do the start-up part of that gig.
Right.
Um,
And he's now booked me as his resident DJ, right?
Yeah.
So you know, these small seeds, they turn into bigger
flowers,
things.
isn't
Yeah.
Lay the
And
seeds.
lay the
grow
seeds.
forest,
That's right. And we got called out to New Haven to the Vaded Lab.
The Vaded Labs.
Yeah.
Shout out to Vaded Labs.
That was
I'd love to get him down
they were
for,
super, right?
a little chat. He's
Yeah.
a lovely guy.
He's a lovely guy.
Yeah.
And then I was looking for someone.
So for Vaded Labs.
Vaded Labs.
It's in New Haven. It's
Oh,
a little
nice.
DJ studio, basically.
It's like a private studio.
But we'll try and get him onto the show.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Really lovely guy, and I was
That's
looking for somewhere to do a photo shoot for my album,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh yeah, Vaded Lab, that's the perfect place, right? Because they've got these kind of neon. It's all very very dark, but some neon type paintings and lots of profiles of cool profiles with neon colours. I was like, yeah, that's the perfect place to do it. And
Yeah.
wow, the result of working there,
Mm.
the energy that got infused into that artwork. And I'm now taking it worldwide, right? I'm now taking the Dark album worldwide, and that artwork shot in New Haven in the Vaded Lab is being soaked out throughout the world. Yeah,
There you
it's
go.
like
New Haven's getting on the map finally.
Hey, that's
So do you want to go back to your album?
okay. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the album is the result of about 7 or 8 years' work. I produced maybe 120 tracks during that time, and I then zoomed into the ones that really lit me up and put them together and called it the Dark Album to represent a very introspective time of my life where I wasn't, like I said earlier, performing publicly, or I was simply exploring my own sound, and I even stopped listening to other people's music really. I was running my record label, City Wall Records, doing a bit of mastering for the label, releasing tracks for other artists, but beyond that I wasn't like regularly record shopping. I purposely shut myself off and explored my own sound. And I just didn't know what would happen when I released it really. I worked with Paul Proxy in Berlin, who are a quality PR company. They put it out to the kind of worldwide techno community, and it got like this amazing response from a wide range of artists, people like Charlotte DeWitt, who's kind of one of the most well-known techno kind of spearheads, picked up on it and called it Beautiful, which was kind of her. Shout out to Charlotte. And then a guy called Richie Horton, who's been around since the 90s, he picked up on one of the tracks and started playing it around the world in his sets, the track My Gift. And so I was like, okay, right, this has caught some attention here. And so I've decided to grow it, and I'm going to do a world tour with it. And I've got a whole host of remix artists, because by this time I had come out of my shell a bit, and I was running my own radio show on a different radio from Slack City Radio, and listening to a lot of other people's music. So I've really flipped and gone from this kind of introverted character to someone, I guess, more extroverted, like I was in my kind of teenage years and early 20s when I was promoting all these parties. So I kind of was a extrovert and then an introvert, and now an extroverted introvert, I guess. Oh dear. So yeah, so there's a lot of remixes coming. There's going to be 7 volumes of remixes, one a month for like the next few months, with a few gaps. We've got a gap in May, a gap in August, and then the last one gets released in October. And some really really cool names have been attracted to it.
So can you name anyone yet? Is it secret still?
Or
Yeah, anything for secret.
I'm going to keep it a secret. I'm going to keep it a secret. Yeah. The first lot go out at the end of this month. I'll share a few names from that one. So because it's not just big artists, there's also a lot of grassroots artists. Because I didn't kind of think, right, I just want big names on this. I thought, whose music do I like? When I do my shows, whose music do I play? And I was like, right, they're the people I want to remix this album. So I've invited grassroots and up and coming, and then established artists too. So there's a guy called Nick on Faith, who is based in Manchester, and he's got a few remixes on this first release at the end of February. He recently played, he won a DJ competition and played at E1 alongside Carl Cox, a mixed mag DJ competition. He released a really beautiful album last year. That's what got me onto him. He's also booked to play at Warm Up Festival this year. So he's someone to keep an eye on, Nick on Faith. Then there's this guy, Roy, R-O-I. He's based in Spain, next to the Atlantic Ocean. And he writes really beautiful techno music. And so I heard a couple of his EPs last year, and I was like, right, I'll invite Roy. He's part of something called the Fan Scene Project, based in Spain. So he's done 2 beautiful remixes on this first volume, and then the other dude on this volume is a German guy called CIEC, and he's done a kind of very sparse, minimal techno remix of something new. So yeah, first volume. That's I'm good to share about that.
And when do you know now it'll be released?
28th of February.
Okay, that's not long.
Yeah, on its way.
So will that be available on
All
digital?
All digital.
All digital
Yeah.
platforms?
Yeah, no vinyl. So if anyone wants to put some vinyl out for me, then let me know, and get in touch with Robin or Joe.
And we will make that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're doing a world tour.
Yes.
So does that mean you're going around the world?
Yeah. So I'm just doing it step by step.
Okay.
I'm off to Amsterdam next weekend, and Barcelona early March. They're the first 2 steps.
Okay.
Yeah, just step by step.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I kind of figured, right, like I've made all this music and all these people are interested. So just like in the old days, like a band would tour, I was like, well, I've just got to tour with it, right? Otherwise, how are people going to hear it? And it's like,
We can't all fit in your house, can we? We've got to go out there.
No, but also it's a different thing having you representing your own music in your own sets as well.
Right.
That's the whole experience in itself.
Right.
Kind of something that you should definitely. I'm very excited for you to take.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. And I think the remixes really help with that, right? Because for a DJ set, which is my passion, is DJing, is in itself eclectic, and to play one's own music constantly in a DJ set, I think can become a little I would struggle with it. But to have remixes involved and then to also be able to play other people's music, so then it becomes a kind of landscape of sound. But it all has the same kind of dark feeling, right? My sets. Someone once said to me, a good friend, and they said, "Don't be afraid of your darkness." And I was like, embrace it, right? It's like don't. So that's where I'm at the moment, just kind of taking brave steps to share my kind of darker sound, really. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So you also do a different radio show, I understand, on a different station, and that's another, like, is that a monthly residency you do that?
I do a weekly show and a monthly show.
Weekly and monthly.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
And you mentioned your record label as well.
And I run a label, yes.
Is there any artists out coming up we should be aware of, anything you're releasing?
There's a guy called Soul Alt Delete who
Right.
who makes a really beautiful techno sound, and there's a Finnish techno guy called Tuomas Rantanen who we're going to be releasing as a kind of he writes quite industrial techno, but he's done a more chilled. I say chilled, it's kind of ambient textures with some of his beats in. But it's worth checking my label, City Wall Records. We've had tracks played on Boiler Room sets, and mainly dark techno, and some kind of Future Sound of London type break beats.
So if people want to get your tracks, should they just go to your record label? Should they check the main outlets like Beatport or websites like that?
I mean Spotify is a good place to start.
Yeah.
And if people want to just mainline me, then go to rossharper.xyz, and there's a whole load of me there.
Cool. So we're all going to do a set tonight. I think Ross, you go first. Is that still good with you?
Yeah, that'd be good. Then I can get back to my babysitter.
Yeah, exactly. go to the school child.
And as we've been diving into your lovely album and your music,
it
seems like a good lead into.
Thank you. I'm gonna really indulge in some of the remixes, so you're gonna get some exclusives here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what it's about, guys. This is what it's about.
And then after us, I think maybe it'd be me or Joe. So
yeah, we're gonna flip a coin, basically.
Figure out who wants to go after that. But what have you got plans set, Joe, tonight? Or are you just gonna play?
I'm undecided. I'll do a little intro before I go on.
Okay.
And I might have a little chat with you before you go on. We're going to talk about your style, what you're going to drop. Yeah. Because I'm like my style is in transition at the moment.
Oh, I see.
And so we'll come to that in a bit.
We'll figure out our sets in a bit. Absolutely.
But everything's ready to go. So you want to head down.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Robin, for your questions.
Thanks for being on our first Slug City Live.